Happy Monday, everybody, man. Wake up, turn your clocks up, man. Turn your volumes up, man. We back with another episode of Protect the Shell. Man, today, man, we had a special guest, man. I always love having former players and former great players at that, man, to join the show. Today we have Nolan Carroll, man, a guy that played on a high level, play for the Terps, man, a key efficient player for the Terps, man, guy that went on to get drafted by the Dolphins, played for the Cowboys, Eagles, man, had a great career, and now he's coaching. Man, I can't wait to dive into that, man, to see exactly how football translated over to coaching right after this.
It was great, got better, and basically being faster, stronger, powerful, and being more explosive. And now I'm out here competing and having fun.
Running behind that fine offensive line, Derwin Graves did a great job tonight.
With all the guys I played with, that was a fun experience being a part of, so I had fun with it. It's definitely been fun, man, so I appreciate all the coach staff and what they've done for me. Maryland's been a great school for me.
Nolan, what's up, dog?
Going on, man. I like that intro, man.
Man, I had to keep the Maryland pride going, man. I told Locks and them boys at KG and all those guys, man. I was like, man, I feel a little offended, man, that my face wasn't on the offensive line room inside the new building, but they got that pretty nice building they got going on. I don't know if you had the opportunity to go see it yet. Have you saw it yet?
Oh, yeah, I've been in there. I've been in there this past offseason. I was in there with Coach Baker, just being around the DBs and
Yeah.
just to see the facility, man. And you know how it is, us being in Gossett, how Gossett was, and from Gossett to now the Shell, it's just.
Man, it's crazy, bro. It's like a whole 360, man. It's like, bro, that's a whole different program. It look like, man. And I was like, man, I was looking at the training facility, man, when they go in there, the different pools they got, man, the training stuff, all the tables they got, man. I was like, man, bro, like y'all got the whole deal here now, man. It's crazy.
But you got to remember, each shoot, and I just think about it this way: we paved the way for that to happen.
100%.
And they never forget that. Coach Locks is always telling us to come back. Just talking with KG. KG is always appreciative of guys coming back and sharing our stories and supporting the guys that are playing right now, because they're the ones that's creating that path for the other guys after, and showing them what it could look like, for them and their future, and us just having the success that we have had at Maryland and then continuing on and doing great things now. I think that's what's important about going to Maryland.
Man, for sure, dog. And that's crazy, man. I had the opportunity to go back this week to go watch them play Penn State. You know what I mean? That's a personal one. So I always make sure I got to get back to that one, man. See, I don't know if you really had the opportunity to play against Penn State because you was in the ACC. So I only got 1 year in the ACC. But for the most part, man, that Penn State rivalry is something different, man. James Franklin was at Maryland at one point. So he loved to try to embarrass us, man. And that's his thing, man, every year. And I don't remember. I only beat him one time with my year, like in 2013, 2014, beat him 1 year. But those guys used to always put a whooping on us, man. I love to see this year, man, they change those things around. But it's crazy, man, the things they got now going on for them, man. And just the whole transition from Gossett to this and from there to the field now, how much success they've getting. And we knew Locks, man, was a great coach. Locks, he know how to recruit them DMV guys and the Florida guys, such just so, man. He love all the guys, man. He know how to recruit the best guys, and that's why they winning the way they are, man. They took tough losses yesterday and the two other previous weeks before that, but they're still a great team so far, man. And but we're gonna dive into early part of your career, dog, because it's funny, bro. Like, because before I even knew I was going to Maryland, bro, like Florida was my team. I was going to the Gators, man, and Locks recruiting, bro. And I was like, man, I'm trying to go play for the Gators, bro. Like, I'm trying to be with Urban Meyer and them guys, man. Them guys getting it done. And just going up to watch y'all boys play, man, as a high schooler, man, seeing all the guys I had, like Keon Lattimore, EJ, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a young guy in high school, you know what I'm saying? I'm like a 9th grader, 10th grader watching y'all boys out there at spring game when y'all used to do this how long ago this was, bro. When y'all used to do like the sign the autographs thing upstairs, y'all used to walk up with the jerseys on, man. And I remember getting an autograph from Keon Lattimore, and they was like, man, that's Ray Lewis' brother. And I'm like, man, what, for real? And I'm just thinking, like, man, dog. I'm looking at looking at Hey Bay. What's my guy that's from DC went to Anacostia? Imani Leota.
Money,
yeah, those guys. Like, I'm talking about, like, as a young kid, I remember all that, man. and the guy said, man, you need to go to Maryland, man. You can be at that same impact like they had on you. And I remember seeing you guys, Terrell Skinner, man. I remember that whole 2016, man. It was like every year I came to that spring game and got me that poster, bro. Like, really, I got that poster, man. And so it meant a lot for me to say, man, F everything else. I'm staying home and play football, play ball here. Forget all these scholarships. So how was your experience at Maryland, bro?
Yeah, my experience, I loved it. I had Coach Friedgen, and the one thing that Coach Friedgen did for us was every single day was challenge us. But he made the promise to make sure that we got our education. That was
Right.
the thing. And hindsight, when you're a teenager coming into Maryland, the only thing you think about is football. Like you ain't thinking
Right.
about, I'm trying to get my bachelor's degree and then think
Yeah.
about after. Like, no, it's not that. You're thinking about going to the NFL. You're thinking about continuing your athletic career. And at the time, he was always just on me, and I could never understand why he was just always on me to do everything perfectly. Like that
Yeah.
was his mindset. We got to make sure we strive for perfection. And at first, my first couple of years was kind of rough, man. I just trying to adjust, being from Jacksonville, Florida, and then you know being in a new city in Maryland. Yeah, there you go, from Jackson, and just being in Maryland and trying to adjust to the people, the atmosphere. It was a shock to me, and I just remember after my sophomore year is really when it clicked for me, and it was really because Coach Friedgen he challenged me. He said, "Look, man, I promised your parents that you were going to graduate. I promised your parents that you were going to get your degree, but then also too, I have to push you as an athlete on the field. I want to push you to become a leader." And there's a lot of heart to hearts that we had, him and I, and I'm very appreciative because that's what made me the person I am today. There was a lot of things that I didn't realize that was inside myself that he brought out of me that I was able to show to the team and be able to lead guys. I never thought that I could be that leader until I left Maryland. That's when I really knew. And that's ultimately what pretty much got me drafted in the NFL because I was able
Yeah.
to have those leadership qualities my last couple of years at Maryland and then eventually just continued to grow as I got into the NFL. So my time in Maryland, I loved it. I'm very appreciative of it. People think that I'm actually from Maryland. That's how much I appreciate the state of Maryland and it's just the fan base of
Yeah.
Terp Nation, and I love it. I wish hopefully one day my son, when he gets old enough, my son
Yeah.
can go to Maryland and go to Maryland and just understand what it means to be a Terp and understand the history behind it and so many great
Right.
players from before me that helped me and grew me and made me who I am. So like I said, I'm definitely appreciative and I love my experience. I always
Yeah.
reference it with my guys here where I'm coaching. I tell them about how it was to go to Maryland and be coached by Coach Friedgen, one of the best coaches, in college
Yeah.
football history because he went to the Hall of Fame and
Man, I wish I'd had that era, man. I wish I'd have got Friedgen, man.
he was
Uh,
great.
it's
Great.
crazy, man. I got a little bit of piece of Friedgen by Tom Bratton, man. Tom Bratton was there, and
Yeah.
when I got there, man, he had just left, man. I was just like, bro, I came here because of you, bro. Like you made me feel like this was the spot for me to play tackle and guard at, man. You know what I mean? And he ended up leaving, man, and then Randy Atsu came in, and Atsu came in and took over. But man, like, who was some of the guys, man? Yeah, because y'all was loaded, bro. Y'all had a lot of guys that played on the next level on that 2016, man. And of course, first year you redshirted, but the second you came back and played, man, who was some of like the guys that took you under the wing, man? Some of the older guys that I'm saying, looked up to as a mentors to help you try to find that way. You know what I mean? As a college athlete, not being a high schooler no more.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because at the time we had guys coming back. Madu Williams would come back, and I would talk to him about how is it like to be in the NFL? What's the mentality? Josh Wilson, I got a chance to play with Josh Wilson. Josh played for I think 12 years in the NFL. Just talking to him, getting that experience. Vernon Davis was a guy that talked to me my first year, and I got to Maryland. Just man, he was always just supportive of me and trying to get me to just continue to work harder. Sean Merriman was another guy when I first got on campus. Sean just got drafted, and he's like, "Yo, you want to get a ride? Let me take you back to your dorm." And he's talking to me about, "Hey, this is what you need to do." So it was guys like that that went on to the NFL, and as much success as they accumulated, they still came back and were humble enough to teach me what I
Yeah,
needed to do. And there's a lot of conversations in those locker rooms that helped me become who I needed to become. And no, I can't just say it's just one person because there's just guys throughout, my time at Maryland that were doing doing what I had already done, doing what I already done, and then gone to new heights and coming back and just giving me that knowledge. Every little tidbit, I soaked it up like a sponge and was able to use that in my own life and then pass it down to other guys. So it's just, man, I could honestly, if I go from 2006 to 2009, I can name probably over 100, 200 guys that I know
Mm.
from conversations I've had that have just helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because I actually just sat down and talked to Phil. He played O-line with you guys. Phil,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I just talked to him yesterday in Tampa because I live in Jacksonville too. So, you know, I live down here with you. Huh?
We're in Jacksonville.
West side right here by like the private airport.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah. I'm right here. Yep. I'm right on the west side. Yep. So I stayed here at 21, man, when I played with the Jags. And then when I was done playing, man, I came back and said, man, I'm gonna settle down in Jacksonville, man. I loved it, man. The first time around, I stayed in Bartram Springs, St. Johns County. It was cool, man. Then this time around, I was trying to get back there, man. Things is a little tough over there. Couldn't get nothing. So I found this one over here in the west side, man. So when I saw you coach in Jacksonville, I was like, oh, that's interesting, bro, right down here coaching. So that's dope, man. But man, you talked about all the key leaders, man, from 2006 to 2009. You said you could talk about so many people, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, so many impactful people that not only just played ball in Maryland, like even professors, man. Some guys that was my professors, man, still talk to today, man. They cool peoples, man. They been guys like the English major type of guys. Those guys always seem to be like, how can I put it, like, one of those guys that always want to get to you mentally to try to get your mind right. You know what I mean? That hit you the random text, man. Hey, how's your mind? I'll be like, what do you mean? My mind is good. You know what I mean? So, but man, they just always trying to stay in the loop, man, and make sure that the guys that they build good relationships over the time, man, as students, man, they still be, I'm saying, continue to grow even when they feel like they're adults. And you talked about Ralph Friedgen, man, Ralph Friedgen pushing you. I would say, man, what type of coach was Ralph Friedgen, man? Like, you know what I mean? I didn't get to experience him. I hear so much great stuff about him, man, but I want to know, man, exactly like everything about him, man.
He was, I think if people were on the outside looking in, they would say he's just an intense guy that always yells all the time. And that's not what he is. Like Coach Friedgen is somebody that he truly cares about every single one of his players. And his wife jokes about it a lot. Says, I have 2 daughters, but I got 100 sons. Like, it's just really how he embraces every single guy from the 5-star to the walk-on. Like he knows who you are. He knows where you come from. He knows your family. He knows if you're late to class. He knows your major. Like he knows everything about you. And the thing that I really appreciate about Coach Friedgen, like I said, was the fact that he always was looking to push us. And it's no coincidence. And I was talking about it last week. I think we're the only team in Maryland history or NCAA history to beat 3 top 10 teams in one season. And this was 2008. We beat Cal, we beat Rutgers, and we beat Boston College all in the same season. And I don't think that gets enough credit, but it comes down to him and his mentality of us always fighting to the end. I think from my times at Maryland, that was our mentality. We were always the underdog. It didn't matter if we were even, we had 8 games winning in a season. If we were going to the bowl game, it would be, well, Maryland might lose. Like that was the mentality we took on as well. Like we're the underdogs, and that's just how he portrayed it to us. Like every thing that you do, people are always going to underestimate you. People are always going to undervalue you, and people are always going to disrespect you. You have to earn that respect. You have to go out and fight for it every single day because nobody's going to give it to you. And I like that about him because that mentality was always consistent. It was all the time. And now I just remember when we had different challenges, my mindset was always to prove him wrong, which probably wasn't the best thing for me at the time because it's more about what you can do for yourself. But he was able to help me realize that I can go further. I can go deeper within myself to be a better player for my team. And, when he named me, he named Phil Costa, Adrian Moten, Chris Turner, when he named us captains. And I remember him just having us sit in the room. He's just like, look, you guys, you show me that you can do it. You show me when I push you, you push back. And that's what he liked about us. And that was the first time out of all my years being there for 5 years and finally hearing that from him. That's what all made sense to me. And I was hoping that the other guys that are coming up after Coach Friedgen and the guys that were before me I'm thinking now this is what he's been trying to teach this whole time is
Yeah.
understanding adversity, embracing adversity, and then being the best for yourself and others around you. And it was just, I loved it, man. I
Yeah.
really, I didn't care. You know, he used to cuss me out a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. And but it never bothered me. That's the thing, because I understood where it was coming from.
Yeah.
It was never to put me down. It was never to embarrass me. It was just to, I see your potential. You need to see it too, and you need to realize it because I'm trying to get you somewhere. And the minute you realize it, you're going to be so much better as a person and as a player. So just like I said, that whole experience with him, I loved it. Like if we could have a coach like that again, which I think that's how Coach Locks is,
Yeah.
it's almost a spitting image of the same mentality as Coach Friedgen. So like I said, I had a lot of fun in Maryland, mainly because of Coach Friedgen.
Yeah, and I could tell, man, because a lot of people that play under Friedgen, man, always had that same kind of, how you say, view on him. You know what I mean? Yes, he was tough, but he's just one of the best out of his players. And then, man, you want that as a coach, man. If you're a coach, you want the things to be tough. You want us to put us through adverse moments to help us grow and continue to fight further than we think we can go. And something you talked about was beating those top 3 teams, man, that year. And I don't think nobody in Maryland history, or they said the NCAA, one of those, did that. And I remember, man, us going to the practice field, man. I think it's early on, like 2013, early on, and going to practice field, we had that graveyard.
Yeah,
The graveyard. And I was like, man, what's up with this weird little section right here? Like, what is up with all these tombstones with, okay, we beat Boston College, okay, we beat Florida State. Like, it was just stuff you see in the graveyard. Like, I'm not walking up there. I don't know who planted this, and I don't know how long a history this has, but I heard Friedgen planted that, man. I wasn't walking on that, and I wasn't touching anything over there, man. But every day I came out of the practice field between those gates, man, before I hit those white lines, I always saw that from the corner of my eye, that graveyard. And Locks, man, even though he wasn't the head coach at the time, Essu was, but Locks used to always talk about the history of that graveyard. You know what I'm saying? He's like, my guy Friedgen planted this, man. We got to go get a win against the top 10, whatever team it is, man, and get another tombstone over here. And we used to always try to fight to get one of them over there, get a tombstone over there. And it makes me think about now, where has they located that tombstone now? Like, do they still keep that there? Because I feel like that's a tradition, man, they have to keep around, man, because that's about pride, man. And I think Locke should some kind of way find some type of graveyard to build for that little pretty little facility they got to remember the history, man, for some of the guys that don't know, and also for a pride thing about, man, who cares about where they rank that, man? We got the best players too, you know what I mean? And I think that graveyard, that's what I got from him, is like, man, I want to fill this whole graveyard up. I mean, we need to make another one. You know what I mean? And of course, we won't be able to do that, man. Our first year in the ACC, but it was tough, man, with Etsu, man, and the coaches changes we kept having, and then DJ Durkin came, and then they try to bring their ways and from Ohio State, wherever, all the places they've been, and try to bring them that winning mentality that worked for those schools to us. And it kind of hurt us, you know what I'm saying? Because we lost a life, of course, and things like that, man. So it was definitely a challenging time just trying to get a win, you know what I mean? And yeah, man. So that graveyard was something that caught my eye when you think about Ralph Fried. So every time I think about the Ralph Fried, I think about that graveyard that he started. And man, talk about like the chemistry between the guys, man, because I had a lot of talent on that team, a lot of guys that went on to be great, man, such as E.J. Henderson and Hay Bay and all those guys, man, that because when I first got to Pittsburgh, when I was drafted to Pittsburgh, man, the first thing they said, oh, you got another Maryland guy coming in here, man. Last one we had was Hay Bay, you know what I mean? And Pounce used to talk about Ben and Pounce used to tell me about how good Hay Bay was as a returner and things like that, but man, he couldn't catch. I was like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, bro. He's like, bro, he'll run past the whole football field. I mean, he'll run out through the whole stadium, the ball be right there wide open and just drop it. I was like, that's terrible, bro. That's terrible. That's the first thing you tell me about my guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
I had to defend him too. When I came into the league, I had to defend him. But yeah, just kind of going back to it, just really knowing Darius and just the guys that we had in the locker room, it was really, man, it was a close knit team. Like it was one of those things. It's hard to put into words. Like I barely saw us have any fights. Like you argue, you bicker like brothers, but no hatred towards any guy. There was no ill will towards anybody. Like we all wanted to see each other win, and always pushed each other. And, when Darius got drafted, we were like, yeah, that's great. He deserves it. You can say whatever you want about him. He can always say forever he's a top 10 pick. I don't care what you say.
For sure.
And, guys like Aaron was he was the truest leader that I have been around before I got to the NFL. Because just how he would always prepare, his energy every single day, how he just brought it. Like, if you didn't bring it, he was going to call you out. And that was the thing that we liked. And I love playing with him on defense. And we had a good defense that year. I think it was 2000. I think it was 2007 or 2008, I believe. Like, it was just dogfights. Like, we loved the dogfights. That was our mentality. Like you said, when we saw those graves, anytime we would play like a Florida State or play a Clemson or ready to play a Wake Forest or Boston College, we're like, let's bring it because this is what we want. We love the offense, but we don't care what the offense does. As long as they can score and we can get turnovers, hey, let's just do this thing. That was the mentality we had. We just loved being in dogfights because we understood the mentality of being tough, the mental toughness. And even when things weren't going our way, we never pointed fingers. Like, we never pointed fingers during the hottest of hot moments, the lowest of low moments. Like, it was none of that. And I think that's what was special about my time and the teams that I played with was we just never argued. We never blamed the coaches. We took accountability for ourselves and made sure that we made it right because we knew at the end of the day, we're the ones that have to execute. It's not the coaches that have to execute. The coaches are going to do their job. Us as players, we need to do our job. And
it's so funny that conversation, that statement you just said just keeps circling around every week for me, man, about coaches to players and things like that because everybody know about Pittsburgh Steelers right now, the things they're going through right now, and everybody would say, man, why do you defend Matt Canada all the time? I'm like, well, he was my OC at Maryland. He was my OC at Maryland, but it's proven. It was proven that his offense works, man. If you just buy in, man, and understand the why he does what he does, man. Why he has a jet sweep going this way and a run going to the right. Why? Because it confuses defenses, man, to the point it splits them in half. Like, if all you have to do is execute your block, your one-on-one matchup, man, and let the rest go where it goes. And Reed, when you say that, man, it made me think of Matt Canada because everyone's bashing about his play calling, man. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why? Like, forget all that. Execute your plays. Like Najee Hurd stepped up and said, we have to win our one-on-one battles, man. We're not winning that. We're not executing. So it don't matter what anyone calls. We're not going to get it done. We don't block. And I mean, and that's exactly to what you said, man. Players have to execute the play that's being called. You know what I mean? And we talked about Locke's homecoming week when they lost to Illinois. Well, why did he run the ball on third and medium? Well, it's about looks, man. And it was a great call, man. Look, the game just now, Northwestern, he ran the ball with Talia on a quarterback run on 37 and got the first down. Yeah. And so it's like it's all rhyme and reason and coaching and schemes and things like that. But it's all about the players executing, man. And that's something that just caught my attention. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that just grabbed me right there.
Good. It's the thing that I've come to learn in my years of playing football. There's a lot of people that got an opinion on football that never played a game before.
100%.
And they continue to have this input like they know it so well. But my thing is, if you knew it so well, then you'd be the one playing. You'd be the one. But you don't want that responsibility because you don't want that pressure.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that don't mind being critics. And I remember Odell said this probably 5-6 years ago. He said, they whisper my successes and they shout out my failures. And that's the truth. Like, that's we spend so much time focusing on the failures and shouting those out. Well, what about the wins? What about the fact that Maryland hasn't started 5-0 in probably 15, 20 years?
2001 was the last time.
20-some years. And the fact that Coach Fox is able to do that, that's something to hang your hat on. Now, obviously, the last 3 games haven't gone the way it needs to, but it comes down to execution. Like, obviously, that 5-0 start, you didn't change anything. What you were doing, you were executing before, right? So these last 3 games, you just weren't executing. That's just what it comes down to. And the media's got to stop bashing the coaching staff so much and understand that the players got to step their game up. And, I just from knowing Coach Locks and having the conversations with him, he'll get it right. But at the end of the day, he's not a person that is going to put it all on his players. He's going to understand that he needs to still push them, but they also have to understand too that he's not going to change who he is. You guys just got to execute. When you execute, you end up getting back on track. So just for fans' sake, just understanding don't listen to this media and people blaming one person for the whole
Right.
thing. That's not what it is. The players got to come out and take accountability. And when they do that, you'll start to see them change because they got a little rough gauntlet coming up here in the next 4 games. Or teams that are all,
It's tough.
yeah, really,
It's gonna be tough.
yeah,
And it's funny that you bring up the game, man, because I definitely wanted to dive into that last game, man. Of course, I mean they had coming off a bye week, man. They coming off before the bye week, coming off a 2-game losing streak, man. I mean, nobody expected that to come, especially the Ohio State one. Okay, we can deal with that one, man. It's a tough team, man. They came down the last seconds and they made a play to win. But Illinois, man, is a game where, you know what I'm saying, it was a lot of miscues, a lot of people was hurt. It's a lot of excuses we can make. But Maryland was definitely the better team on paper. And it's never, and for me, I ain't really seen that in a long time where we've been a better team on paper. You know what I'm saying? And Maryland being a better team on paper, I was like, oh, this is definitely a win. There's no way, man. There's no way. A lot of guys, a lot of alums came back, man, to the game. And just hearing them how they said that last kick, man, just took the breath out of the stadium, man. It was just like, well, they shouldn't even been in that situation in the first place.
yeah.
And there's a lot of penalties. You know what I mean, late game sacks, Talia holding onto the ball too long, guys not getting where they need to be at, man. Defense not tackling, and that led it to I guess it rolled over to the Northwestern week, man. They seemed to not be able to contain the quarterback yesterday or Saturday. They weren't able to contain the quarterback. He was having a field day, being able to run all over the place. I mean, he was their leading rusher. I mean, the quarterback was the leading rusher, bro. Like, quarterback was a lead rusher, man, and as well getting it through the air, man. I was just like, this dude is wrecking the game by himself, and man, mind you, he's a young guy. So this has now been 2 weeks in a row, man. Well, not 2 weeks in a row, with 2 games in a row that 2 young quarterbacks has gave Maryland problems. I mean, what do you think some of the things that Maryland need to build off, man, to try to help swing these things back? Because Locks always say getting back to basics. How do they do that?
Yeah, but it's really get back to the basics. So it's day one camp install. What has been working well? What did we do well in the first 5 weeks? And a lot of this. And if you look at the game yesterday, I think they gave 6 sacks yesterday, and I think all in total was 8 for the whole season or something like that. Something crazy weird because I saw the game late last night after our game that we played, and the fact that it was that drop passes, defense, like you said, missing tackles, miscommunication. Those are all basic stuff. Like day one pass pro install. It's the same. You just got to continue to rep it out, and those fundamental things that you lose sight of and take for granted. Those are the things that come back and haunt you. It's always the little things that turn into big things, and they have to understand that is the main problem is you getting back to understanding how to focus and lock in and having the discipline to win those games and get back on track. There's no scheme that you need to change. There's no new intricate anything. It's just your mentality to get it done. And
when you say mentality, man, first thing I think about when I think about mentality, just being on that goal line on that 4th down and not converting.
yeah,
How do you not get a goal line, man, when you have a better offensive line than they D line? And I mean, yes, don't get me wrong, man. It's Big Ten. There's a lot of good players, man. It's a Big Ten West. They have some good pass rushers. Don't get me wrong. But y'all are definitely a better guys, man. You know where the ball is going. You know, everybody in the stadium know you run the ball. It's no way you cannot push the power, man. You see the Eagles do it every day with that same play. The whole world know they doing that push the power play to the point they talking about making it illegal for the Eagles to do that. That they didn't convert that, man, and forced them into trying to do a play action pass that gets batted down the one. Man, everything is so condensed in that area, man. Like, you got to be able to, I don't know, boulder up, man, and be able to run those type of plays, man. I think that was the most frustrating play for me watching that game, is not being able to convert on that, man. Yes, giving them a long field, but they still drove the whole field to get 3 points out of that.
Yeah, it's that was anytime as a defense you give up a long drive like that, it's very deflating. And I look at it as not just this game. I think so much was built into the Ohio State game. Like, just coming in 2 undefeated teams, I really think that Maryland thought, this is our season. This game is the game that's going to be telling of our entire season. And
Right.
you could just tell from the conference, the conference calls to the interviews, that was the buildup. Like, this was the test. This was the marker. And ultimately it came down to us beating ourselves. We had that pick 6 the first half, and then I just didn't go our way after, in the second half, and that's ultimately what ended up killing us. And I think that hangover going into the Illinois game, thinking, okay, well, it's Illinois, we'll be able to bounce back. And that game against Ohio State, we know we could have won it, but we didn't. So let's just go ahead. This team is not as good as Ohio State, and then they sleep on them. And those teams that you let linger, they end up getting confidence, and ultimately they shock you.
Right.
So you have that lingering for 2 weeks because you have the bye week.
Right.
You come back, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, we're a little rusty. Let's try and wake it up, but you're not really woken yet. And then all of a sudden it becomes a boxing match, and you're getting jabbed, and you're like, hold up, like we didn't expect this, and now you're in a dogfight and you don't even realize it. Like, so it's one of those where you can't play down to the level of your competition.
100%.
Every single week you should be thinking you're playing in Ohio State. That's how you need
Facts.
to prepare.
And I didn't think about that till you said that, man. As you look at Maryland play, man, I think Maryland, that was probably the best start I ever seen Maryland start this whole year. They've been starting really slow the whole year against Charlotte, against all these teams. They should just start off fast and get points on the board.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And when it came to Ohio State, they came out early. Prather, big one-hand catch across the middle, man, for a touchdown. I'm like, you seeing guys doing things they wasn't doing all year now. Prather's always been a questionable guy. Yes, Prather made some mistakes that game, man. The drop pass on third down. But Prather came up and started playing really well that game early on to give him a chance, man. And you could tell Maryland looked at it as like a Super Bowl. And it's like, man, that kind of changed the whole dynamic of the season so far. I'm like, if y'all play the same way like this Ohio State, I mean, bro, Illinois don't have a chance, bro, because y'all flying around the place. Y'all one-hand catching stuff. Yeah, I mean, y'all just all over the place, offense and defensively, and special teams where they need to really get better at special teams. And it's just crazy, bro. You think about that, man. And then I think about they haven't been taking care of the ball at all. They've been fumbling, and a lot of, like, Prather, man, is kind of a guy that is kind of going to fumble. Like, he's been doing this consistently now. He's been putting the ball on the ground, and they came away with one interception yesterday and one fumble yesterday that they lost. I'm saying, so that type of stuff right there, man, kills drives, man, kills momentum. Of course, the penalties Maryland was getting, man, those unsportsmanlike conducts on Gote and Barham and those guys, man, all those things kills drives and takes the life out of defenses when y'all been working so hard to get them in these type of positions, man. And giving those guys all those free yards, man, and the quarterback was just taking advantage of that.
Yeah, that hurts you when it's critical situations where you need to get off the field and you don't, and critical situations when you need to keep drives going and you don't. You can't let those things happen. Like you said, turnovers, the turnover margin is so finite with across the board in football. If you have 2 turnovers in a game, if you're not getting turnovers on defense, the percentage you win in that game is 0, basically, because you're giving your opponent 2 more drives to score. And especially like them, they just had momentum just from the beginning. And when you're not able to slow that down and you're turning the ball over, well, shoot, they're just going to come back out and keep going because they're like, well, shoot, that's another drive that we didn't think we were going to have. Now we got it. Let's go back out there and just step on the gas. And that's what you saw. And it was just unfortunate that it took that type of adversity for Maryland to try and wake up. But, ultimately at the end, it's just like it's too late because you're trying to find some type of motivation to try and get ahead. And then you start pressing too much. You start thinking, well, now we're down 10. There's no play in any playbook that's going to give you, one play is not going to give you 10 points. Like, you got to consistently move the ball down the field one play at a time, get a field goal, get a touchdown, try and stop them on defense, and then go back out there again and field goal, touchdown. Right? And that's how the mentality needs to be. And I just don't think it's just there. And if you look at it, there's just situations that Maryland just hasn't been accustomed to. And I go back when they were starting 5-0, if you look at it, the Virginia game and the Charlotte game is probably the most consistent ones. Charlotte was a dogfight in the beginning, then they pulled away.
Which shouldn't have been.
It shouldn't at all.
Yeah.
And then the Virginia game, it was just like 14 and a half, and Virginia's throwing any and everything they can at you, and then all of a sudden you wake up the second half and you end up putting up 40 points. That is something that you have to look at and say, well, what is it that we did at that time that helped us be successful and be able to put points on the board? And look at these last 3 losses and think about what is it that we didn't do well in the second half, because that's really what kills Maryland. It's the second half.
Yes.
You need to be able to complete that and put it together. But just go and look at those wins that you had when you were 5-0 and just think about what you did in the second half to help you be successful.
It's crazy, Brad, because it's there, man. Like you said, it's there, man. It's like we saw them when they drove the whole field, man, after turning the ball over on that 4th down, man, on the goal line. They drove all the way down, got up to a field goal, left a minute on the clock or something like that, a minute or some change on the clock. And just to watch Talia, man, move the pocket, man, making plays, man, throwing big balls to Deiches, man. Him get a big play, big bomb to was it? I think it was a Deiches again or Jay Sean Jones, one of them, and just moving the ball like that. Like it was like 2 or 3 plays, they was all the way back in the red zone again, and then it leads to a field goal. And I'm like, bro, y'all cannot continue to come down here, bro, in the red zone and not convert, man. Those got to turn the points, man, because they going to get touchdowns and we going to get field goals. Like, that's not going to add up when it's all over with. So it's like things like that was killing me, man. And then eventually, man, the pocket started to break down. And then it was like, oh my God. And the second half going on, man, the O-line started to break that a little bit, man. It was they was getting tired or they was losing confidence. It was just something. Maryland, just watching that game gave me just flashbacks of when we played where it was like, oh, man, Maryland start off good and they just don't know how to finish.
Yeah.
And it's just like they had to find a way to finish, man. I think that's the biggest thing, to start strong and just finish it, because these guys are not that much better than you guys, man. Like they wasn't 10 points better than you guys, man. I mean, I wouldn't even say they shouldn't even been up the whole game, man. They had great players. Don't get me wrong. They had great players, man. Quarterback was a phenomenal quarterback, man. I don't know who this guy was. I heard he lost his spot during training camp and he came back on fire. You know what I mean? And won his spot back, man. And he's been killing it so far. I mean, he bringing those guys. I mean, I think those guys what 3-4 at first, 94-4. So that they now it's shaking up on the west side of the Big Ten Conference now for guys that can make it to bowl games now. So, man, he was a guy that was definitely doing it. Who was a guy that on for Maryland squad now that you like look at his game like he remind me of myself a lot.
All right, I like Hebe, man. I like Hebe.
Yep.
I like Bo, and I like Dante.
Trader.
I like they're all a mixture of me at some point in time.
Yeah.
Together, like he was a guy I talked to. I like him, man. I'm a big fan of him since I met him last year, and I could tell Coach Baker just telling me, he's like, yeah, he's the most athletic guy in the room, and you could see it during camp. And he started talking about Dante, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a big dude. How
Dante's huge, man.
He's big and he's athletic, and you just look at and even Bo, it's the same thing. Like they're all just athletes out there playing football, and I think myself like that because I was a receiver when I came to Maryland, and switched over, and I really was just out there, just out being an athlete. Same thing, just hey,
Yeah.
what do you need me to do? I got you. I can do this, and you just see them the same way. Their athletic ability, and I just think all three of those guys that they remind me of myself, just being out there, being an athlete, but more importantly, they want to learn the game. Like their anticipation, their instincts, it's there because the plays they make in practice that I've seen, I'm just like, man, that's impressive. And then you see them make it in the game. Yeah, they're like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if all three of those guys they're playing on Sunday.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think they do, man. But only thing about for Trader, man, he has a little dilemma right now dealing with lacrosse. Like he really loves lacrosse, man. And I had him on here actually, man, and he just talked about his love for lacrosse, man. He really loved lacrosse, and he loved football as much as he loves lacrosse because he started playing. He said at the same time, I was like, "Ain't no way. You had to pick one, bro. There's no way you just came into the game playing the same exact amount of snaps on both sports at the same time." Like he's like, "Nah, for real, I did, man. I played this, and my dad said I had to pick another sport. Try baseball was the boringest stuff I ever had in my life, and I went to lacrosse and started playing football. Go right to lacrosse, football, back to lacrosse. Like it was crazy. I was like, wow."
And I was saying, I pick football right now. Lacrosse ain't paying too well.
And that's what I was thinking in my mind. I was just like, man, bro, like you beating your body up crazy, man. Because he went through the process about, man, like when the season's over, man, he gets about 3 days off, and now he's right into training camp for lacrosse. And I'm like, bro, your legs is gone. Like if you really playing hard as you can this season, you should have nothing left in the tank, bro. Like the fact that you got this much left in the tank to go play a whole nother season and go right back into a summer workout once this is over, I'm like, bro, you're a different type of cat, man. I don't know how you doing this, bro. Like I couldn't see it.
He got no time off because I remember in the spring he had a lacrosse game and then had to go to practice for a couple days. Then had a lacrosse game again. Then you have a spring practice. It's just, hey, I commend him for it. Guys that can do that, hey, more power to him. Darius was like that. Darius ran track. It was brief. It wasn't like full time, but ran track, did football at the same time. Mind you, wasn't beating on the body, but
yeah,
I commend him for doing that because I think lacrosse is just as physical as football.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. It takes a lot of mental strength, man, to do that, man. Yes, man. I'm like, bro, how do you even catch that little ball? That thing flying 100 miles an hour, bro, across the field. Like you look at it, bro, it's a sunny day. How you seeing the ball, bro? Like it's crazy. It is crazy, man. Next week, man. I know Maryland took a tough loss this week. Next week, down they actually at home, man. Play against the Nittany Lions, man. A team that I just can't stand, bro. Like. What do you think Maryland needs to do, man, to ensure victory next week?
Just have to challenge themselves to play mentally tough. I think that's the biggest challenge for them. Last year, I think it was a shutout, 30-0 up there, and I know that didn't sit well with Coach Locks. Obviously, Coach Franklin, everybody knows he was my offensive coordinator when I was at Maryland. So the fact that he was supposed to be the coach after Friedgen still doesn't sit well with him, and he always has a vendetta. Knowing him, just how he acts, and he wants to take it out on Maryland. He wants to show the people of Maryland that I should have been the coach, and it's going to be a fight. Like he's going to feel like, let me impose my will on this Maryland team to get them to quit. And the thing that they can't do is quit. Like they just have to keep fighting. He's going to run the football. Like they're doing well right now. But the thing I do know about this is if you're just as tough and you match the mentality of this Penn State team, they're beatable. They've shown they can be beat. I mean, they lost 2 weeks ago, I believe, right? And it was a dogfight. It was one of those where it was just a battle of wills. If you can go all 4 quarters and do that and expose them, I think on offense they're decent. Their defense is pretty good. I like King on the outside. He's a good corner. He's a first round pick. But other than that, I think their offense, there's some holes in that offense that I think the defense can exploit. It's just about matching up, exposing those things, and keeping the game manageable. If they score, we got to score. That's honestly what it comes down to. Let's not let this turn into a shootout like it did. I think it was 3 years ago where it turned into a shootout at Maryland at home, and then last year just became just a slugfest, and they ended up just running the ball. I think 12 times in a row, and we couldn't stop the run. So the main thing is stopping the run. Understand.
Penn State love to run the ball, man. And I was gonna say that, man. As much as when I played against them, they had Saquon Barkley and those guys, and Miles Sanders came right behind them. It was just like they seem to generate all the best running backs. And I mean, they all go to play on Sunday. And they talked about coming into this year, man. The running backs they have in the group, man, they have a duo set of 2 running backs, man. That's been great all year. And so, man, they love to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. That's what they're gonna continue to lean on, and they always been great at passing the ball. So, and they love tight ends, man. So, some kind of way the defense is going to play really gap sound, man, and stay in their gaps, man. Not let quarterbacks break free. Because right now, if I'm watching film, well, they don't contain the quarterback right, man. But I don't know. I don't care how fast some of them is quarterback. I can get to the edge. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Dwayne Brown, man, Darnell Brown, man, that guy right there it's been great, man, blazing the edge, getting sacks, but he's gonna really have to get to the quarterback, put pressure on them guys, man, to make some mistakes, man, because they playing really well. I mean, they started out slow last Saturday against the Hoosiers, man, and the Hoosiers got on them early, man, and gave it back away, man. It made me sick, man, to watch it. Like, how do these guys just keep giving these wins away to teams like this, man? I hate to see it. And I really wanted IU to win that game, man, just because I just don't want to see Penn State win. I just hate to see them win. I mean, like,
man, believe me, being a Maryland fan, just understanding the back history of just the coaches and all this stuff. Like, I'm the same way. I want Coach Locks to win. I want him to turn the ship. I want it to be this game to where they really show people in the Big Ten, they show people in the nation that we can play with the big boys. Like, that's just the bottom line. And, if you stop the run, then it stops all play action stuff, because that's what really opens this team up is if we can run the ball and get 4 or 5 yards a game, then what you start doing is you put extra guys in the box. Well, if you put extra guys in the box, that means guys are singled up on the outside, and they're singled up on the outside, play action, you got more room, you got more space.
Also, the receiver got to go make a play. Somebody got to go make a play. Got to beat this one man on one man, man. Got to beat this guy.
It's imperative, and I already know those guys in that room, the DB room, they challenge themselves. So I know they'll take it upon themselves to want to make plays because they have before, and that's the biggest thing. Just let those guys up front, because they were doing it. They've done it. They got some good guys up front. It's just in the back end. The back end, they just gotta, when that ball's in the air, just come down with it. Give the offense another possession. Let Tulia do what he does. I mean, he is Shoot, he's one of the best quarterbacks in Maryland history, man. Let him
I
be.
was like, he's the best one I ever saw, man. I
Mhm.
ain't get to play with the guy, but I mean, he's the best quarterback I had. I had like C.J. Brown and those guys, and I
Yeah,
didn't realize how good C.J. Brown and Perry Hills was until they left. But
yeah,
hey, they was good quarterbacks, but man, Talia is a little different, man. He's a little special, man.
yes.
And one thing Locke said on the broadcast, man, is that Talia sometimes have to calm down and not try to make the biggest play, man. Always trying to make everything, man. Just take some time with the defense gives you, man, and just move the ball. Like, and sometimes he get caught up when you see him running around. He's trying to make that explosive play. And it's like, well, you're not gonna get that every single play. Like, you ain't gonna be able to make up 10 points in one play. So
Exactly.
just move it down the field, man. Just move the ball down the field, and that big play, I promise, will be there. Deitches will be somewhere open, waving his hand like he was. And I mean, so that's crazy, man. But yeah, man, I'm excited, man, that you came on and talked about that. But before we get off this, man, we got to talk about Coach Carroll in the building, man. You got to talk about that, man. And you over at Jacksonville Community Christian College, man. Talk about that, man. The transition from football into coaching. What got you into that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I never wanted to be a coach, like, at all. And when I retired from the NFL, I got two offers to be a coach, and I turned them both down because I seen the long hours that coaches have put in. I don't think I was just ready to do that. And 2020, towards the end of 2020, my brother came up with an idea to. He just said it like, "Let's create our own college." And I'm like, "How do you do that? Like, how do you even start that process?" And he basically he went through the process. Took us about 2 years, and we finally got accredited by the state of Florida. And now we're an official college in the state of Florida, Jacksonville. We say Jacksonville Athletic Academy, and now it's Jacksonville Athletic Christian College is what we call it, JACC. And the reason why we did it was to give kids an opportunity that are not getting looked at, that probably have bad GPAs or just need another year to develop. And at first, when we started this, I want to just be hands on from the business side of it, like the logistical standpoint. And obviously, things just not people nowadays, they're not really adequate enough to do what you want them to do. Like you see it how you want it to be, and just me being at
100%.
a high level and playing in the NFL, there's a certain way you want things to be done.
Right.
And most people can't handle that pressure of it. So I ended up
Mhm.
taking over and being the coach in my third year now, and it's been fun because I'm able to emulate what I saw at Miami, what I saw in Philly, what I saw in Dallas, and just the coaches that I got coached by. I mean, Todd Bowles, he was my first coach when I got into the league, and he's the head coach for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Nolan was my defensive coordinator. Lou Anarumo was my other DB coach after Todd Bowles left, and he's the defensive coordinator in Cincinnati. I played with D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans is the head coach now
Coach,
in
Texas, right?
Houston. So, just being around guys like that that are now head coaches and seeing their foundation of what they were able to teach me and me being around them. That's the same thing I'm bringing to JA and putting these kids in the mentality of being a professional athlete because football is a business. Let's not get it
Right.
twisted.
100%.
It's not just about the love of the game anymore because people are in it to make money. And if you're going to be in it to make money and provide value for yourself, at least let me show you how to do it the right way because I had to figure it out my own way, and it wasn't, and nobody gave it to me. Like I had to figure this out on my own, and I feel like I have a good roadmap to help these kids understand. Even if football doesn't work out for you, there's things off the field that you can do to help yourself. Whether that's get your AA, get your bachelor's degree, help you with these internships to get some type of money off the field because now everybody's in this NIL space trying to get deals. It's like, look, I can show you how to make some type of money so you don't have to worry about going to this school because you might get an NIL deal here or there. It's more about let me help you put the right product on the field because the eye in the sky doesn't lie. Your film is your resume. I don't care how well you speak. I don't care how much you go on Twitter and tell everybody you're a great football player. If that film does not tell the truth, nobody's going to take a chance on you. So if you're showing that you're focused, you're showing that you're disciplined, you're showing that you're playing fast, you're playing physical, and you have leadership qualities, a coach is more adept to take you over a guy that is not coachable, a guy that just thinks he's an athlete and is God's gift to earth. They don't want those headaches. They want guys that if they bring them into their program right now, can they come in and compete? Can they come in and be an impact player on and off the field? And that's what we're trying to do here at JA is get those kids ready to take that next step to go to the next level and just have them to just understand to be confident in themselves. That's the biggest thing I want everybody that comes from this program to understand.
So y'all built that. I think that's a phenomenal, bro. I love that, man. Hey, you need an offensive line coach? Hey, I'm here. I'm down the road, baby. Hey, hit me up. Hit me up. Yeah, man. I'm gonna tap in with you. We're gonna talk after this, man. But Benz, though, y'all started a college, something that when you said that blew my mind. I was like, started college. Whoa, how you do that? You started a college, like, so who do y'all play against? Like, do y'all choose who y'all play against? Like, how do y'all schedule formulate?
Yeah, so when we started this, the first year we played just more post grads because we got kids that were fresh out of high school, so we had to play guys on their level, post grad teams. But now this year we actually just played Central Georgia Tech, which is another college that's in Georgia. Played Gordon State, which is another college in Georgia. McDougal Technical Institute, which is another college that's down in South Florida. We played Daytona Elite, which is another college in Daytona. So we're playing colleges. Like, I don't want people to get it twisted. We're actually competing out here and playing against universities and schools that are 4-year schools that offer kids an opportunity to get their bachelor's degree. And, at the end of the day, it's about competition. We're not just out here to say, oh, we're winning this, we're winning that. We're trying to get the right matchups. We're trying to play against competition where kids are going somewhere as well, too. Because the one thing I feel, my philosophy is this: if he has an opportunity, meaning our opponent that we're playing, if he's got offers from X, Y, and Z, obviously that coach is going to want to continue to see how well he's progressing. Why not show up on that other guy's film or have him be on your highlight to be able to show that, look, I'm going against the top guys too, and this is what I'm doing against, a guy that you offer that wants to come to your program. I'm just as good as this guy. So for us, it's about finding that competition. But really, we just go out and ask, hey, look, do you want us? Can we play you guys this year? And if they say yes, they say yes. If they say no, hey, we just go on to the next one. But for the last 3 years, we've played a healthy amount of games, 8 games a season. Last year, I think we played 10 because we went on to the championship. So we played 2 more games this year. We have 1 more game this year. And, we're playing, we're competing. We're out here and we're getting guys signed. We're getting guys to have scholarships, get scholarships. We had a guy last year who was on our team. He was a small receiver, 5'7", every bit of 145. And right now he is 4th in all HBCUs in touchdowns. And he's now number 5 in the nation in receiving yards. And he came from school. His name is Nate Rembert. And it's just guys like that are out there that they just need another chance. You give them a chance and you show them what they need to do. The light bulb clicks on when they come here. And then when they go somewhere else, they understand the assignment. They understand what a coach is trying to bring out of them. And then when they get on the field, man, it's amazing to see because, a guy like him to be able to produce and do what he's doing right now, it all started here at JAA. And he's always talking about us. He's always hyping us up. But for us to be able to be that catalyst to give guys an opportunity like that and give them hope that, hey, I can still continue to play football like we were able to do. We were more blessed because we were talented. It wasn't as hard as it was back in the day for us to really get recruited or get looked at. Nowadays it's just so much going on. So like I said, if I can be able to be that middleman in between to help these kids and show them what they need to do to get to that next level and really reach out to my connects to give them that opportunity, that's what this is about. And that's why, I love doing it now. Like I said, I didn't want to coach, but now that I'm doing it, I'm having fun with it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, dog. That's awesome, man, to give guys an opportunity to extend their career, man. Because sometimes, man, these guys might not think like, oh, my career is over with after high school, and man, so that what y'all built, man, is something that I love that y'all did that, man. Because there's so many guys I feel like just need another opportunity just to get a little bit more film or another opportunity just to be coached and mentored by the right guys that understand how it need to be done. And you've been a former player in the league, a former player in college that played on the high level, as well as like different organizations, Cowboys, Eagles, Dolphins, man. You know how it's done, man. And it's no better mentor to have than someone that played on the highest level. You know what I mean? So, man, that's a super exciting, man. That's dope, dog. I'm like, man, that's crazy. Gotta come check it out, man. See what it look like over there, man. Gotta come check it out, man. And definitely, man.
We definitely have fun out here. That's the main thing is making sure the coaches and players enjoy it, man. So, yeah, come on next year and just see what we got. We got some dogs on the O-line next year. We made sure that was the focal point.
Man, I'm about to text you my number, man, and then we about to rap, man. And need an O-line dog out there. I'm barking. Let's do it. My boy got me fired up, man. But, man, Nolan, man, I'm going to wrap it up with you, man. I appreciate you, man, coming on, man. You shared a lot of insight, man. You shared a lot, man, about the Maryland program, the history, man, the chemistry, the camaraderie, man, amongst you guys, man, will help y'all that 2016 be 9-3, man, the ACC, man, to be able to do a lot of things, man, because all y'all success as a team is what led to a lot of you guys going to get drafted. EJ being one of the guys that's in the Hall of Fame of Maryland, man, his trophy all through the new building and all those things, man. All we get is a little name on the side. But EJ, you the guy. I get it. It's okay. We get a little name, but it's all good. It's all good, man. But man, it's been fun, man, talking to you, man, learning more about you. Because like I said, a young guy, man, I came up watching you guys, man, play, man, and when y'all was wearing the original script, man, before these guys brought it back, and yeah, man, it was crazy, bro. Just seeing the whole team, man, and just looking at that roster, I was like, bro, I still have a poster, bro, rolled up with all y'all signs, with all y'all signatures on it, bro. I never got rid of it, man. One of my youth pastors told me that going, he's like, man, you don't go to Maryland. Now I started getting highly recruited, man. About 50 offers go everywhere, man. And Locks was just in my ear every week. He was coming to DC every week. Was in my, come on, bro. You don't have to go there, man. Come on, stay home, man. Stephon did it, man. You can do it, man. You and Yannick, man. All y'all just stay home, man. And that was the best decision I ever made, man. Staying in College Park, being able to see my family, me being from DC, let my family come to watch me play, and eventually getting drafted by the Steelers, man. And it was another great organization being coached under Tomlin, bro. And some of the leaders I met, man, through Pouncey, Big Ben, and Joe Hayen. Man, it was so many guys. TJ. I mean, it was so many guys, man. And then, of course, the Jaguars, it was cool. We had Trevor Lawrence and the guys. Like, it's a little different from that organization I played at, but then Derrick Henry with Titans and shit and stuff like that for a couple years. But, man, for the most part, man, it was great, man. Like I said, once again, I appreciate you coming on, bro. Man, I can't thank you enough, man. I know a lot of people will enjoy when they hear this insight about what you got going as a coach, man, to help people, you know what I'm saying, further their playing career, and as much as the insight you gave as a player.
Yeah, definitely. No, I appreciate coming on here. You know, it's all about Terps, man. We got to support each other. It don't matter.
Sure.
80s, 90s, early 2000s, don't matter. Terp is a Terp at the end of the day.
Sure. Definitely, bro. Man, I appreciate you, man. I'm about to send you my number, man. Let's connect about that, man. O-line.
Yeah, we do that. All right.
I got you, bro. All right, bro. Be blessed today, bro.
You too, brother.
Man, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode, man. Once again, man, happy Monday to all you guys that's like tuned in, man. Listen to Nolan, man, and myself, man. It was a fun, dope conversation, man. Learn about some of the things they did back in the day, man, and how they ran things, the camaraderie their team had, man. That team was loaded, man. Like I said, they had a lot of guys that played on the next level, man, such as Nolan and other guys they played, Hey Bay. I could name a lot of them, man. It was a great team, man. And most importantly, man, that's where how it started for us, man. They paved the way for guys like myself and guys that's just playing now, man, for the Terps, man, the success they have it, man. So once again, man, happy Monday, man. Let's dominate the week, man. Stay safe. Peace. Catch y'all next time on the next episode.